Hi, everyone. So this video is intended to teach you guys a little bit about how to study effectively. I know a lot of you probably haven't learned that, or maybe you were able to study in high school, but it's just been a while since you've been to high school, and all of that's fine. This is for anybody that wants to learn to study, maybe just a different technique or anything like that. So yeah, so I know a lot of people really do favor flashcards, and I'm going to talk a little bit about flashcards. They're not useless, so I will mention them. They are a useful tool, and they're fun and they're quick and they're easy for memorization. That's about all that they're good for. So, and if you think like, okay, well, I'm just learning about these topics, like what else is there besides memorization? Well, I hate to break it to you, but a lot. There's a lot. So comprehension is really what we're looking for, right? So they don't actually teach comprehension. The flashcard material tends to be very useful in introducing terms and concepts maybe that help you can understand the words when you see them, but they aren't actually linking any concepts together so that you can understand comprehend how the whole system works. And you are going to be asked questions in this course and in your career going forward, I'm sure that's going to involve critical thinking. And when it's going to deal with topics that you are not familiar with, at first everything's uncomfortable, right? So and that's normal. Then you want to have a tool in your tool belt that enables you to essentially learn new concepts a little bit more easily. That's what this is for. That's the idea. I did want to mention briefly that this is a 2000 level course. We do expect you to do 2000 level work. Most of you have not taken any 2000 level courses yet. And, welcome to the real world. That's what I have to say about it. There is more work expected of you in this, and that's what you're paying for. You're paying for now a course that is going to teach you a lot more in a shorter period of time, and it requires previous knowledge in order to understand it. And that's what this is. So microbiology, you had to take chemistry some form of chemistry in order to take this course. I personally believe you should have had to take biology as well, but you didn't have to. So I get to teach that as well. That's okay. I am willing to compromise here. So getting into this. So we say flashcards. Flashcards are great for association, for memorizing associations. You see this word, you see this set of words, that's the match. Do you understand the concepts that are involved in, if I say photosynthesis and, generates energy using light? What if I asked you how? How does that flashcard help you? Well, you might say, well, I'll make another flashcard with, the how, or like put it below it or whatever. And it's fine. It gets convoluted after that and it gets complicated. And then you have a lot of flashcards and it's just overwhelming. It's not necessary. And I'm going to hopefully help you break it down a little bit more. Yes, there's a little more work in some of this, but I promise if you put the work in up front, you will be doing less studying overall. What do I mean by that? I'm saying, first of all, schedule study time. I highly recommend that you guys study for 30 minutes after the class. Just 30 minutes. It could be more, of course, but if you guys go to the hub or whatever and go sit down and study whatever material we went over to make sure you understand the concepts of it using some of these techniques, just 30 minutes, that'll save you way more time when it's time to study for the exam. Because I know a lot of people cram for exams. It's not great for you, and you guys know that. You don't need me to say it, but I know you don't want to admit it, but it is true. So take time. A little bit of time each day will save you a lot of time later on. Instead of cramming for 6 hours, maybe you only need an hour to study because all this stuff is familiar because you went over it earlier, So you're just refreshing your memory about it. You already understand it. So that's the goal for studying. Try to take some time every day, set the same time aside every day if you can. I know most of us can't. If you can, do the best you can to stick to a schedule. That way, you just know, you come home, you sit down, you look through your notes real quick, while you're, talking with your kids, or I don't know what you do when you get home, whatever. Just take some effort or some time to work it into your schedule somehow. Okay. I promise it'll pay off in the long term. Okay. So there's two phases, what I like to call for studying. Phase 1 is the review phase, and phase 2 is like the comprehension phase. Okay, so you can actually use the information that you got from phase 1. The phase 1, useful tools here. This is where your flashcards come into play, right? Making flashcards with important terms. Don't put your important concepts that you have to understand the steps of or the ideas behind that you have to explain out, like maybe in a short answer question. Don't put that on a flashcard. No, you should understand it. Don't just regurgitate words. So don't do that. So when I ask you guys later on in the course, a question like, why do we inhale oxygen and exhale carbon dioxide? You need to be able to explain that. How? Don't just read me off the back of the card, because if I asked you further questions about it, then you would be screwed, right? So don't be that way, because when you get into your later courses, when you get into nursing school or whatever, you're going to need to be able to actually understand it and not just, recognize and regurgitate. Okay. This isn't just for micro. I know I've said that already, but it really isn't just for micro. This is for anything you're studying in your life. Okay. I'm saying K a lot. I apologize. Okay. Anyways, moving on, we have outlines. Outlines are great. I like outlines because you're taking the notes, like you're taking the lecture notes, whether they're your own lecture notes that you've made during the lecture or the actual like printouts of the PowerPoint slides, whatever it is that you use for your notes. Maybe you make notes out to the side on that, whatever worked for you. You will take that and pare it down. You're going to put like big idea and parts of the big idea and break it down to the parts. You know what an outline is. Yeah. And if you need to adjust it, you can go back and make little notes on it. It doesn't have to be pretty. That's not the point. The point is to find the relations and how they, stack up. If you understand the concept as you're working through making an outline based on your notes, and it needs to be not word for word, obviously. I mean, it should not be word for word. Let me just state that in case it wasn't obvious. Go ahead and right, what was I even talking about? God, my brain today. You're making an outline. You won't want it verbatim. You want to summarize in your own words because you need to understand what you're writing down, the words. Yes. And if you need to look things up as you do it, please do. That's fine. This isn't a test. No, you're not handing it in. It's for you to figure out the stuff. It's just for you to learn. You can just throw it away after you make it if you want to. The idea is to make it. Yeah. And right, you can use the textbook as well. That's a great way to make use of that textbook that you're paying for, even if it is just the e-text, right? Let's see. Yeah, there's some study questions on Canvas as well. And there may be other study tools that I'll make available later on and as the course goes on. I don't know. We'll see if there are or not. I haven't decided. So, we're just winging it. So why not? Yeah, so the study questions, go through those. This is part of that, right? You have pre-formed study questions, go back and answer those. Try to give actual, I want to say eloquent, but well-worded answers to those questions. Try to write as much as you can about it. Give as much detail as you can in those. That'll help you understand and, be able to comprehend the topics a little bit better as well. So that's what I consider part of review. That's just refreshing your memory about like what the topics were about that we talked about and all of that. So yeah, so if that's it, if that works for you, like that, don't try to fix what isn't broken. Yeah. If it works for you, move on. That's fine. If you want to learn a little bit about how to get into learning and actually comprehending and understanding and using that information and, moving through it instead of like just, past it or whatever. It's a weird way to say it, but you get what I'm saying. This part, phase 2, is what I consider to be actual studying. Of course, I used flashcards when I was in graduate school. Like that's an obvious thing. They're so easy. It's so easy for terms. But when you need to understand a concept, the best way to do it for me in the past has been through discussion with other people who are learning it or already know it. That's, for me, my best way to learn. But here are some other options as well. It's not just that, okay? Create a mix and match brain map. What do I mean by that? You can take like large concepts, even just a chapter. Chapter 1 was about introduction to microbiology. So you could take the chapter, just write it on a piece of paper. Chapter 1, intro to micro, or chapter 2, chemistry, or whatever. And then you can, have flashcards, maybe that you have terms on there that were from those chapters. So, that would be something like, for chemistry, like it might say covalent bonds, they share electrons, something like that. You'd write those on there, and then you would sort them out into whatever bigger category they might go in. It doesn't have to be those chapters if that's not helpful to you. It could be a larger concept, like this is photosynthesis. This set of reactions belongs to photosynthesis. This set of reactions belongs to, I don't know, the Krebs cycle or something, the electron transport chain or whatever it is. And just sort out however it helps for you to learn that. This is a very useful tool for Unit 4, because Unit 4, we're going to be learning about the different diseases and the different things that the microbes that can cause those diseases. Oh, why I can't say that for some reason, those words. The microbes that cause those diseases. That's what it's going to be for. So that's a lot of flashcard stuff. I feel like Unit 4 is a lot of flashcard stuff, but sorting them out into what digestive system or skin or eye or nervous system or whatever that they affect, that would be a very helpful tool for that. So moving on, number 2, writing your own study guide. It's pretty self-explanatory. Go through my notes that you guys have, the PDF notes, or the lessons that are available online, or even your notes from the lecture, your own personal notes, or maybe your notes, your outlines that you redid or whatever it is, and make your own study guide, like literally your own study guide. Like make your own questions that you would expect for me to put on a study guide for you guys. So what would she ask? She would ask, define this, or she would ask, explain how this is related to that, or something like that. Just try to predict what kind of questions I would ask, and then don't put the answers down. Wait till you get through the whole study guide. Print it out, or, you don't have to print it out, I guess. You could just go back and retype it. But I would keep a blank version, though, saved. And then if you want to go in and edit it with your answers, you can. But then go in and answer the questions. Now, yeah, you should have just seen them, and so you should be familiar with them. But as you're reading through it and you're connecting what your answers should be with it, it'll make a little bit more sense to you the second time through. So that's one way to look at it. The other way to look at it is, as you're making your study guide, you could make it as you go, as we teach in the class. We get through chapter 1, you go put in some questions for chapter 1, and add it on as you go. That's considered studying. So if that's all you want to do for your study, that's what you think you're going to have, and then you have your study guide at the end and just go through that. That's what works for you. That's what works for you. So it's just an example. I do recommend, if you have people who study well and people who you trust their information, that's the key, right? That you can exchange study guides and then critique one another's study guides. If you guys are friendly enough, just try to be kind if you're correcting somebody, and please. But that's very helpful, I promise. If you don't have a study group, you should get in one. I recommend that. The next one is making your own review slides. So yeah, I'm going to give a review at the end of each unit, probably online. I know it's not in the schedule, but that's probably going to be the case. We're going to have a Zoom meeting and, have one big review for everybody, probably. That's likely. So I will have slides that I will make available after I give that lecture. I don't like to have them beforehand, because then you just get the slides and you don't attend the lecture or learn from people's questions or what. That's BS. We're not doing that. So you guys will get the slides after the review, so you can have that to study. It's fine after that. So if you want to use those, You can use my slides if you want to, or what else? You could use the lecture slides that I have if you want to remake whole new slides and put it together to create your own review. That's okay. The better way to do it, I think, would be use your own study guides and outlines to do the slides, the stuff that you made, that you're already in your own words. You've already had to go through it once, maybe even twice to get to that study guide. And then now you're going to go through it again to get those review slides made. And so what am I talking about with the review slides? I'm just going to drag it over here. Oh, it's not on share screen, is it? You guys know what slides look like. I don't even know why I'm even pulling this up. So this is the example that I have. I'm not even going to put it into PowerPoint mode. I'm just going to kind of show you what, this is a presentation, whatever. It doesn't have to be complicated. That's not the goal here. All right. It's not to be pretty. I just pulled up some rando minimalist slide thingy. Okay. That's not the point at all. The point is just to get the information put together. And so you can have it stuff like this, like with questions, like what is a microbe, and then put your answer. You could even have just the questions on there. And then when you click, it comes up if you want to go through all that. Or you could just have statements of facts on there, and you can even have that blank. It could just say chapter 2 chem. And I was like, okay, these are the main, I have 7 points that I wanted to remember on for chem. These are those 7 points. Okay. So how would I explain each of those 7 points and break down that outline in your mind that way? That's fine too. That's how I learned a lot of stuff in my past jobs. I picked it up really quickly by saying, okay, I just remembered that, like, okay, when we talk about this, there's 5 things I need to remember. What were those 5 things? And I would remember the 5 things and the general ideas. And then I would think about the one that we're dealing with, in that moment, whether it was, I used to do blood donation. So whether that, donor was fainting or having cramps, muscle cramps or whatever. So whatever. Moving on. So you could have statements of facts. And then we have, this is another example, chapter 3. So this is just having like long explanations. Just write out the things that you know about the topic. And that will help you get kind of the idea out there. So here we have microscopes use lenses to magnify images. And when the light passes through the glass slide, the light rays scatter. And when they reach the air, because they're different, so their optics are different. So if we put oil on it, the immersion oil, that prevents light scatter. I just wrote it out as I thought about it. I didn't have any specific things in mind whenever I put any of this together for you, because I wanted it to be more organic so that you guys could see kind of how it would work. So those are just thoughts as I thought about them, and that's fine. So it's kind of like allowing you to put that stuff together, maybe as you're looking through your outline, organizing it out and writing more, elaborating, right? So that's great. That kind of brings us into the number 4. Let's get off of this and bring me back in so you guys can see me gesturing and making stupid faces. Number 4 on the suggestion list on here, make a review presentation solely from memory. That's one side of it. The other side of it is kind of what I was just saying to you guys. You can modify that to make a review presentation using kind of a skeleton outline, which means just the basics of, of the outline to guide your memory, which is kind of what I was talking with you guys about. Yeah. The 5 points. And then, okay, this is about, the donor having cramps. Okay, what would we do? The ideas behind that, and like be able to write out when the donor has cramps. This is what we do. We give them, calcium chews or whatever it is when they're donating platelets. So all of that stuff. Just a guideline. It's meant to serve as a guideline. So you can use a little bit of a guideline, try to use as little as you can, of course, and then make a whole presentation based on that. And then go back in and fill in your blanks. Some of the fill in the blanks will be stuff you're like, oh yeah, I know this. I just didn't remember to put it on here. And that's fine. It probably doesn't need as much studying. It's probably nothing to worry about. But if you left something out because you didn't understand it, or because like you forgot, and then you come back to me like, oh yeah, I don't even remember, I don't know about this. Like, yeah, I need to, redo this one. It'll really point out those weak spots for you of what you need to study a little bit more. So that's very useful that way. Yes. So that's pretty much that for what I have for you guys. I recommend when you make your own review slides, like the ones we were talking about, using the study guides and the outlines that you made with information that you have there, do go over those with your peers, your study mates, okay? And then the review ones, you can go over those as well, but that's not as important. That's not as much for, you know, reviewing with your friends as much as it is for you. That's a personal review. So you can test yourself that way. So those are some ways to help you guys study. I don't know how useful it is. There are, of course, tips and tricks online on how you can, you know, trick your mind into learning better. I often use essential oils when I'm working because they can alter your mood and your thought process and everything. So it can make you a little bit more clear, or you be less frustrated or whatever, the smells of it. So you could try something like that when you're studying at home. Or you can chew gum, cinnamon gum. I know you can't have it in the testing center, but I don't mind if you have it in my class if you don't get it out like in the middle of the freaking test. And I'm going to be suspicious of that little paper that you pulled out because people get creative. They do. So, but yeah, if you had the gum when you came in already, that's good. Chew cinnamon gum while you're studying and then chew it again when you take the test. It does help associate. You can do it with peppermint too, but it's been proven scientifically to work with cinnamon the best. Another thing is if you have a hard time concentrating and you're like, listen, I like to listen, have some sound going on. I can't have it like silent whenever I'm studying. So if you're like me and you need sound on when you're studying, find something that works for you. I don't agree with listening to music that has words whenever you're studying. Some people like it, but I can't see how that couldn't be distracting. Your brain is just going to want to listen to what the words are. So what I recommend is, I know you don't want to. Classical music is my favorite. I love classical music. It helps so much. It annoys you at first, but then once you get into the studying, like it's like you're in a zone and you just don't have to worry about it. And it helps your brain work better. That's actually scientifically proven as well. And jazz is great as well. My sister's the one that recommended that. She teaches at UNT and she says that she plays a jazz playlist sometimes for her students. She does graphic design. So whatever, those are some recommendations to help you get you guys in the mood for studying. And then some tips on how to study. I hope some of this is helpful for you guys. If you guys think of anything else that sounds great, you can let me know or just share it with each other. That's fine. But I can always make another video for the next semester. They can learn from the stuff that you guys learn. If you have anything to share that helps you. So please, share the wealth if you can. That's pretty much it for studying. And I'll see you guys in the next part. Let's see if I can remember how to close this.